Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to this new installment of AMC Spoilers, talking about the new Seth Rogen, Zac Efron movie, Neighbors. Now, I'm going to give you this heads up right now. It's called AMC Spoilers. We're going to spoil this whole movie. This is only for those of you who have seen Neighbors already and want to just talk about the movie with us. If you have not seen Neighbors yet, just add this to your favorites list and come back and watch the video a little bit later, because we're going to talk about it as all of us, one big group of friends, having already seen the film. All right? Spoiler-filled. You've been warned. All right, first I'm going to introduce people joining me to do this spoilers review with me. First of all, sitting to my immediate left is, of course, Alicia Malone.
Hello.
Beside her, Mr. John Schnepp.
What's going on?
Miri Jetikin.
Hello.
And Mr. Dennis Zen.
Hello, everyone.
All right, so this is how spoilers generally breaks down. We talk a little bit about the things that were positive about the film. We talk about the things that were negative about the film. Then we give our overall impressions and talk about it just kind of as we go. So, Dennis, let's start with you. I know you saw the film last night.
Yes.
What were some of the positives for you about Neighbors?
Because it was hilarious. Is that a positive? Yeah. No, it's funny. It kind of reminded me of a mix between the humor in 21 Jump Street and Old School. They kind of like mixed that together.
Right.
And yeah, it's just funny throughout, and all the performances were great. You know, even like people bash on like Zac Efron. He was funny, and he actually showed a little bit of range in that role. And Seth Rogen, instead of being usually that guy that like Zac Efron and Dave Franco are playing, he plays kind of the older guy that's, you know, learning about adult life and you know, dealing with wives and babies and all that stuff. So yeah, I just thought it was pretty funny throughout the whole movie. There wasn't any like really downtime for this.
What about you?
I hated it.
Mary?
No, I enjoyed it so much. I thought it was so funny, and like you said, I think it captures two worlds really well, and for that reason, I think it's going to appeal to a really broad audience, because you have this sort of collegiate frat boy thing, but you also have this couple that's, you know, navigating new parenthood, and they've bought a home. And I really liked Rose Byrne. I actually thought
She was great.
She finally they let her be Australian.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not just saying that because you're here. I really like the fact that she could be herself, because I think it did allow her to just be more of herself in this character, and she was just great. She wasn't just a sidekick. She wasn't just the typical straight, you know, wife. She actually had a role to play. She was actually involved in the hijinks, especially that party scene where, you know, she gets people to, well, I can spoil it, can't
Spoil
I?
it up. Spoil it. Tell them.
She, I love how she gets the Dave Franco's character and the girlfriend to make out, and
The
she
The mini
makes
Rachel
out.
McAdams.
Yeah.
And I love I actually thought the party scenes were really well shot. Like first of all, they made me want to party, which I don't usually want to party. So I was like, wow, this is cool. But I also love the fact that they looked cool. I love that they used them as part of the gag, like when they're all dressed as we're having a De Niro party, but then like one of them is Samuel Jackson.
That scene was so good.
That was so funny. And he's like, I'm Travis Bickle. And I said this earlier, but I do think that we should screen it and count how many times Zac Efron has his shirt off, because I think it broke records. I think Seth Rogen was like, let's keep him shirtless. Let's just no shirts.
You know, just the Rose thing again.
Yeah.
I mentioned this. We had the director, Nick Stoller, in our studio yesterday talking about the film. But in a lot of comedies like this, very guy-centric comedies, right, the female characters quite often get relegated to being window dressing. And Rose was a driving force in this movie.
She was
like,
great.
On the poster, it very well could have been Rogen, her, and Efron, because she is as important as a force in this as Rogen is.
She's the one that puts the first crack in the armor. She's
yeah.
the bros before hoes. She's like,
Yeah.
and it's so great because it also displays like the difference between women and men when they're standing on that balcony, and she's like watching, and she's like, she wants to sleep with him. He wants to sleep with her. Like, she just breaks it down, which is so what chicks do. Like, we break it down. Like, she sees it. She's like analyzing the situation. This is what you guys need to do. She's tactical. It's still so funny.
Yeah.
She's great at like riffing with him, with Seth Rogen. I thought they had great chemistry.
Yeah.
And I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. There were a few weak spots for me, but it wasn't.
We'll get to the weaknesses in a bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But I really overall thought it was just a laugh a minute, super funny.
Schnapp.
My cheeks still hurt. I saw it. I saw it late last night. I laughed through the entire movie. One of the most enjoyable comedies I've seen all year.
Yeah.
I think it's like if I could give it a A++, I mean, it's just so funny.
You can.
And I guess I can give it
You
A++.
can do it. You
A
just
double,
did.
an A double plus. Yeah, and I agree. It was really there were such real moments
Yeah.
that I didn't expect. Like
Yeah.
I've seen so many fake comedies this year that are surfacey, that then they actually hit real emotional moments for everyone. The
Totally.
people in the fraternity, the brand new couple with a baby, having to deal with loud neighbors, all these things that everyone's dealt with in different facets of their life, but done with like a real moment and then actual comical moments. It was overall, like, I think one of the best well-written comedies that came through and really well directed. It's like party scenes were directed great.
Yeah.
The intimate moments, like what are we gonna do when they get busted? Oh my God, they're coming! The cop, just like just so many moments.
They're coming at the lawn.
Hootie
They're standing at the door.
Yeah, or even like
Hootie hoo!
yeah,
Yeah.
That
Hootie hoo.
shout out to Outcast was so. I think the whole audience was like gonna fall over and die.
Yeah.
Best part is
Happened.
when Jimmy started getting really into it and he started rapping it.
right. There was like the awkward fist bump, and then Seth Rogen holding his hand, like just the difference in the age is like, I don't know how to be cool, but can I take those
And
mushrooms?
Batman.
And
Batman
right.
to you.
That Batman scene was
Where is she?
awesome.
Well, you know, where is he? You know, all that stuff. It was so funny.
Why are you trying to kill me?
And then it came
Not
back at
Batman.
the end when they're fighting each other. That's Batman. Then he throws a baseball at himself. Just the choreography of that
Beer.
fight scene.
When he whips
yeah,
a can of
Yes.
beer,
that's a can
And
of
the
beer.
trampoline.
great physical humor in this. And I'll
Amazing.
save that till I get to my positive side.
So yeah, total positive. I could go on, but I'm done right now.
Okay, Alicia, you had a chance to see the film. What were some of the highlights, some of the positives for you about The Neighbors?
I really loved it. I mean, I was having a pretty bad day when I saw this film, and it cheered me right up. I mean, and beyond all the great visual gags and the crude humor, there's some truth. There's some
Yeah.
truth beyond the dick jokes. You know, I think it speaks to everyone's fear of growing up. No matter what age you are, if you're in college and you're thinking about having to become an adult, or if you're around the age of you're having kids. I know my Facebook page seemed to change overnight with all my friends from partying to suddenly it's babies. And when did this happen? I wasn't supposed to grow up. And I thought it really did well with subverting your expectations of how the actors would play the characters. Like you mentioned with Seth Rogen, you expect him to be the party guy, and he's
Yeah.
not. You expect Rose, who's so beautiful and elegant, to not have the fun like she did. You expect her to be the nagging wife, and I love that that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I love that Zac Efron's character. I mean, they use his charm in kind of a dark way. He gets quite intense, and there's a real edge to him. And Dave Franco's character, I love that he was academic, and he was all about that, and he could party at the same time. The pacing was brilliant. It felt like a party to watch. It made you want to go to the party. And I love the married couple. I thought they had really good chemistry together. And that's how I imagine it is when you get married, that you're both in it together. You like the same things,
That's how it
your
should be.
partners, and you're both as crazy as each other. Instead of one person, like in a lot of other comedies, going, do that, be sensible. And, you know, and the other person being crazy. So
Yeah.
I love that.
For me, I'm going to start with the positives. I thought Zac Efron was brilliant in
Yeah,
this. I
he was
really
great.
did, and because you see he's got comedic timing, which it was as much a surprise to me as when I first realized that Channing Tatum had really natural comedic timing. Because you put a Zac Efron, you put anybody opposite Seth Rogen, who I don't know that anybody knows how to play off themselves as well as he does in Hollywood right now. Put them opposite him, you've got to be able to carry your weight, and he did. And he was at the same time he actually gave a really good performance. At the same time, I'm so glad you brought up Dave Franco. Franco surprised me in this. I have never really been a big Dave Franco fan. I thought he's been serviceable in the roles we've seen him in. He was really good in this.
Yeah.
He was kind of an anchor in this, I felt.
He really was.
And he can do a really good Robert De Niro
Oh my God.
face.
Oh my God.
That
So
whole
good.
scene, him doing that De Niro, and he had the cat.
I'm
It's
watching
like,
you,
I'm watching
fucker.
you.
Yeah.
And he does this. I was like, oh my God.
That was
Amazing.
so. That whole scene was so good. Of course, and then of course the chemistry between Rose and Seth. That's got to be there for the. And you know what? The first 2 minutes, I thought, okay, I'm not going to be able to buy these guys as a married couple. I'm not going to buy this. Oh, that's okay. I'll get over it. But no, after those first 2 minutes, their chemistry totally made me buy into that. I totally saw them as a couple after that. And one of the other positive things, there could be an argument that this is the cutest baby in the history
my
of
God.
Hollywood.
I think there is no argument.
cute.
It is the cutest bit.
That
It's simply
baby. And so smiley and happy and
So
like, oh
smiley.
my God.
And I love that Seth's character really loved his baby and
Yeah.
loved his wife. That was nice to see.
And I asked Stoller off camera the other day. I said, "So did you guys did you do any computer animation on the baby's face to get the reaction?" Nope. That's everything was that's we just kept the camera on that baby. Just to get all the good shots of that
Baby is money.
That baby is amazing. That baby's gonna make people make babies. That baby's so cute.
That's gonna make people want to have babies.
People are gonna go. Dates are gonna go see this movie, and they're gonna go home and be like, "Let's make that baby. Let's try and recreate."
Hopefully,
the
people
cuteness.
don't think they can bring a baby monitor to a party next door.
Yeah.
That was brought up. That was brought up, and so that sort of thing is true. But I mean, I was sitting with my wife, who was very, very big into her sorority life, and I did not have, it may be surprising to you, but in my Bible college, we didn't have a lot of fraternity ravers.
Really?
So I kept looking at my wife, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, that's so totally true. That's so true." The elephant circle and all. She was, "Yep, people who did that."
Gosh.
And it was that was there. I mean, the baby calendar at the end, just in the end credits. We were talking about that before. Was so cute with the little blue
and
meth
then
with
her
the baby.
dressed as all the characters in the closing credits.
Yeah.
She's with the wigs and Lisa
So
Kudrow,
cute.
and she's wearing this crazy wig. It's so awesome.
And a great supporting cast. That's the difference between good comedies, I find, and great comedies. Good comedies, you can have a great one or two comedic leads, right? But the great comedies are the ones that have a really strong supporting cast. You look at 40-Year-Old Virgin, you look at Forgetting Sarah Marshall, you look at comedies like that. Yeah, you got one or two great leads, but behind them you have 4 or 5 really solid. Dave Franco, Christopher Mintz-Platz, you had Ike Barinholtz, who was almost stole the show.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
incredibly funny because
right.
I saw him on the AMC with the director a couple
Yesterday,
days ago. But I wasn't very familiar with him, and then I saw the movie, and I was like,
man.
"Oh my God,
Yeah,
such a
his timing
funny,
is
I guess,
such
you,
a
I
funny
guess you don't watch
actor."
the League then, because
No.
he's in the League. He's
Yeah, you were telling me that. I
Frank
totally forgot.
Giamatti, the body Giamatti.
And he's in the Mindy Project as well.
Yes, which also just got renewed, so he wanted to make sure we mentioned that on the show yesterday.
Yeah.
But he was great, and his ex-wife, I should say. He brought so much to that role. So great supporting cast, great direction, the timing. You mentioned the pacing. It was just boom, boom,
Yes.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
I won't.
Here,
give
let me
my
say one
names
thing
yet.
about the trailers. Normally trailers ruin too much for me.
Yeah.
I was so happy that I wanted to see Neighbors
Yeah.
based on the trailer, but it was actually so much funnier than the trailer because the trailer showed montage clips that were almost throwaways. They were still really funny, but it didn't give away the whole story. Or
Yeah.
it did. So I mean, maybe the trailers aren't as good as they should have been because man, this movie was 1,000 times funnier than what I thought it was going to
Yeah,
be.
me
I
too.
think a lot of that too is the subversion of stereotypes. You mentioned this a little bit, the fact that it's so easy for these characters to become two-dimensional and cliche and stuff we've seen before, but they all subvert their stereotype or their archetype. The frat guys could be so two-dimensional, but they have these alter ego personas. They have these inner worlds that we're led into. Efron is secretly very afraid that he's going to end up being, the guy outside the Abercrombie Fitch store, and which, by the way, might be one of the best scenes in the movie.
so good.
And Rogen's character Mac is afraid that he's no longer relevant to the young
so
partying
fun.
guys, and they managed to create really human interactions, even though there are all these crazy gags and toilet humor and all that stuff. It still
It's not
maintains its humanity
mean-spirited at all,
Yeah.
and that's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
Nicholas Stoller does really well. That
Yeah.
even though it's quite crude,
Yeah.
it's not mean.
It's heartwarming, crude.
nice.
See, a lesser filmmaker would have taken this type of a premise and made the frat boy next door just the two-dimensional jerk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? But what Stoller does, he takes him, and basically what you have two good guys.
Yeah, there's no
who
bad side.
have problems, and their problems make them do some stupid things sometimes. But it's the same as his other film, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, right? Because you had what could have been the villain, which was played by
Russell Brand.
Russell Brand.
Oh,
he
I
could have
think
just been a jerk.
Oh, but
he
he's
was
the best.
Yeah.
He was multidimensional. There's actually a
His
really
character
good
is actually
side to
really
him.
nice.
I
Yeah.
loved
Yeah.
his character.
Yeah.
He was
funny.
great. And so he brought that sensibility over into this film, and what you just had was two good guys whose their own failings make them come into conflict.
Yeah.
And just, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. The part I nearly died laughing the first time I saw it. Seth Rogen puts down the trampoline and thinks he's going to do the WWE flying elbow drop.
Yeah, it hits the fan.
And that whole fight throwing
All
the
of
beer
it.
can.
fight is
So
really
good.
funny.
Hit him in the
So
head.
I love
good.
the airbags.
Yeah, the
When
airbags.
he goes flying up in the roof.
That's the only thing in the trailer. That's
Yeah,
the only.
I wish they didn't give it
Only
away.
one of the top 5 funny moments in the movie that I thought they put in the trailer. That was the only one.
Yeah, I agree.
And then there was another airbag gag after that was even funnier than
The
the
one in the
first
office
one.
is
Yeah.
great because it's that delay of
Yeah.
he gets thrown to the ceiling
Yeah.
and then his
And then he's
friend-
like, "I'm okay," then just totally passes out.
when he jumps off the balcony and his legs, his legs broken.
Yeah, that's the only part when I was like, how is he walking? Because his leg is all chipped off.
Yeah.
And that brought up one thing that I cannot wait for the special features or Blu-rays, because I feel like when they're making comedies, they have these side characters, and they usually those are the ones, the scenes are trimmed. They're like, oh, we got to stick with the story, the main story. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of scenes of all of those characters from the fraternity that have been left on the cutting room floor, which I can't wait to see. Hopefully there's a lot of deleted scenes is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see
Also
that.
outtakes, and also if you notice, like some of the trailers, like the certain reactions that characters would have, they actually didn't use them, and they used new ones, like with Rose Byrne and the keep it down, like that whole thing was actually different than the trailer in the movie.
Oh, but that part was so funny. Like when she finally keep it down, like all awkward and weird. Like after they practiced it, and then it's like super awkward.
She was so great. I mean, she's always been known as a dramatic actress, especially in Australia, and we've seen her do more and more comedies. And in Bridesmaids, she was really funny, but she was reserved.
Yeah.
But here, she gets crazy, and there's the breastfeeding scene.
Oh my god!
You know, Stoller told us that was actually, I think Stoller gave her power over that scene. He said, if you want us to pull that scene, we will, because it's a very exposed scene for her, right? But he said, but then she did watch the first cut with her husband. She calls, leave it in. It's funny.
Yeah.
She's so cool.
Perfect.
Cool.
That was so
cool.
good. I mean, but one of the other funniest moments for me in the film was when they were making plaster casts of their own penises.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the one guy said, when you said shave, I thought we were going to get photos. It's like, no, man, this is going to be bad.
That happened to a friend of mine. That exact scene. Yeah. He didn't put back.
Friend.
He didn't put. He didn't. No. Guys, it didn't happen to me. No, seriously. Because for me, I was like, I don't know what to do. It was like he didn't put Vaseline, and he was getting his whole body cast. So it was one of these things where he couldn't move, but it was funny. We were all laughing because he was like, guys, I can't move. We're like, just relax. We're gonna have to pull it. Like it was very funny. And
I got to see this movie. I've seen it twice. I got to see it again.
I want to see it again.
All right. We spent a lot of time on the positives. Now, no film is perfect. So, Dennis, we're going to start with you again. What are some of the things that maybe the film didn't execute right, or maybe could have done better?
I mean, I thought they could have shown a little more of the college life and the fraternity life and done more pranks, because we saw a few pranks, but I wanted some more of that. I also think they could have developed with Dave Franco's character and Zac Efron's relationship a little more, because right out of nowhere, it's suddenly, Dave Franco's character is smart. And the other one's stupid. They kind of rushed that, because at first you're thinking, they're both stupid, they're all stupid and stuff like that. So I thought they could have developed that more. But other than that, not too much. I mean, I guess maybe the dildo making scene was funny, but like
you saying that is funny.
Yeah.
the dildo making scene.
But you have to suspend your belief when they sold all of those for all that money.
Yeah.
$1,000
I was like, no. Even
Next
in this
AMC Movie News fundraiser.
Right.
No.
Dildos.
So even in that crazy of a movie, I'm still not buying that.
I liked all the different sizes of the dildos.
Yeah.
It was very fun.
One of the scenes one of the things that really didn't work for me, and this is the biggest one that I thought was the biggest glaring problem. You do such a great job of setting up this relationship between Seth and Rose, and all of a sudden they have one minor argument, and suddenly, I guess we're not good partners anymore.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to separate. I'm like, what?
Yeah, they went to 11 pretty fast.
Is that how fragile this relationship is? That one minor little dispute and they're separating? I thought that was they didn't need to do that. I thought that was a really bad plot device. Anyway, what about you, Mary? Some of the things that you thought maybe didn't work so well.
Well, I think to what you were saying about kind of rushing certain things that shouldn't have been rushed. This is obviously starts with a noise complaint, and they live in a very family-oriented neighborhood. It's all beautiful houses. They're the only ones that have a problem, first of all, and then when they try to explain that away, there's this one scene where you see the frat guys like buying off he's having sex with the old lady, and it's like
cleaning other people's lawns.
Yeah, it's like one minute scene. And it's like, okay, personally, if I lived across the street from a frat house, you'd have to pay me a lot of money for me to be cool with parties every night, and it's not just about having a young baby. I just think they kind of glossed over that and made it a bit slapsticky and a bit silly, when if they had done a little bit more service to it, maybe even just 5 more minutes of the screen time, like explain it a little bit better, make it a little more plausible. That for me was a little bit of a weak spot, but it's minor. I think there were some maybe pacing issues at some points where I felt like, okay, it's a bit gag heavy. Let's get the plot going. But I overall I really enjoyed the experience. So that is a small negative.
Yeah.
Schnepp, what are some things you didn't do right?
Nothing. I thought it was. I gotta say, all your complaints, none of that bothered me. Like
Yeah,
that they glossed
that's fair.
over it. I'm like, cool. I don't care about the other neighbors.
Yeah.
Because you'll never make that make sense. So
Yeah.
it's like
It's
there's certain
true.
things where you're like
It's
that.
true.
If we spend more time on it, we're gonna magnify the things that are not part of reality.
Good point.
Of the real reality, it's between these two homes.
But I almost feel like they should have just ignored it altogether because I guess they
But
needed
they
that
can't.
one
They-
scene.
They did need to address it.
Yeah, they
They
had
needed
to
to
address
address
it.
it.
You just need to see the old woman with the McLovin character.
Yeah.
They just had to
Shoonie?
give you little
Shoonie?
flavor
What's his
moments.
name?
Yeah.
Scooney.
I thought they covered all of it. Was just really fun. I mean, the if I had one negative, it would have just been the very opening scene where I heard like, "Hey, what's going on, everybody?" It's like Seth Rogen sounds like Yoda, and then I said that to my girlfriend. She's like, "Yeah, he does. He sounds like Fozzie Bear or something." And literally, that was it. Like it was literally the first
I heard
15
someone
seconds.
tweeted Rolf from the Muppets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Rolf.
Rolf from, but then and it was really then his voice changed back to the normal Seth Rogen. It was really literally those first 15 seconds he sounded like a Muppet. That's nothing. That's not even a complaint. It was kind of like,
An
that's
observation.
yeah, it's an observation. I didn't find anything. All of it, none of it lagged for me. I couldn't stop laughing the entire time. Every single character in it was fun. I wanted to see scenes from every single one of them. I can't wait to see it again.
Yeah.
I just really such an enjoyable comedy. I can't remember the last time
But I
I
almost
laughed
forgot
this
to
much.
mention, you reminded me of it though now. My favorite single shot of the movie is in that beginning scene as they're trying to have sex and the baby's watching. So he's
yeah.
uncomfortable. He turns the baby around
Yeah,
and then you see the baby looking over her shoulder.
Yeah, it's so cute
And smiling. It's
Yeah.
like that. I would frame that and put that picture of that baby looking over her shoulder, smiling, knowing what she's
Yeah.
looking at up on my wall. That
So
was hilarious.
cute.
Anyway, sorry, Miri. Some of the things that maybe didn't work for you in the film.
Well, I don't know. I had such a good time with this movie, so it's just really semantics. But Christopher Mintz-Plass's character, I felt just too many jokes about how well endowed he was.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm all for dildos. But the dildo jokes were a little excessive, I thought. But they're such small
As they have been
things.
in this review.
Lots of talk.
I think we've said dildo more times than we've ever said dildo before, right, guys? Dildos.
Yeah, but those are just small or large problems. Yeah.
Yeah, I come down to that one scene of that I didn't buy into them breaking up. You're right, Dennis. They could have spent a little bit more time developing some of the in-house and the frat stuff. Other than that, I got really nothing. This is just a really wonderfully entertaining
Yeah,
film.
it's like all forgivable stuff. It's
Yeah.
not stuff
Even
you get.
can I just bring up that one thing about them breaking up? It's like if you're in a long-term relationship and then you have a kid,
Yeah.
you're gonna have flash arguments, is what I could call them, where you're like it elevates to this extreme, and then you both make up and you realize, hey, we had a weird moment, wasn't it?
I'm
And
glad
someti-
they made
Yeah,
up
they could have
quickly.
made it like a sleep deprivation thing too. They have
I'm
a
just
baby,
saying it was
they're
cool
not
with me that
sleeping.
she just went to her friend's house and then he showed up and was like, yo, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I can deal with that. That wasn't I didn't need more of
She's
it.
crazy. She's still right behind me. All right, so let's give a quick sum up now and a rating out of 10. I'm going to start with this. Overall, this is just a hilarious moment with really nice little moments of depth to it as well. I did not find, however, that it was quite as smart of a comedy as one of Stoller's previous films, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which I just think is a masterpiece of a comedy. I didn't think it was quite as good as that one. It didn't have the depth that that one had. But if you're just looking to go out and be entertained and have fun and go out with a couple of buddies, couple of friends, or your girlfriend or your boyfriend and just laugh a lot, this is a good one to do. So for me, I'm giving this movie like an 8.5. Alicia, what about you?
I'll give it an 8. It's a really solid, good time. I think everyone will enjoy it. I love the female character in this movie. The cast was brilliant, and I think it's a comedy you can keep watching. You can watch over and over again, and it'll be one that's quoted and one that you have fun with. So, yeah, I loved it.
Schnepp?
I'm gonna give this movie a 10.
Wow!
A 10.
Wow.
Literally one of my favorite comedies of the year. It could be an all-time favorite for me. I saw it with my girlfriend. We laughed constantly through the whole movie. We both were like, I can't wait to see that again. I didn't think it was going to be this funny. Then we just talked about each of the scenes for like an hour, just back and forth, remembering scenes that were incredibly funny. So for me, as a comedy, it's gold. And like the guy did Forgetting Sarah Marshall, I love that. The scene with, you just mentioned Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and I instantly remember like him trying to kill that pig. Just the way, I mean, certain things in that film I'll never forget, and that's how I feel about this film. It's a film, and I hope everyone goes out to see it. Please enjoy this film in the theaters. It's meant to be seen in the theaters. It's a great
with an audience.
With an audience,
Yeah.
people laughing.
Laugh.
There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it when a movie is connecting with everyone. And
Yeah.
I saw it with like such a mass amount of people. It was like different, like families, kids, older people. It was, everybody was happy leaving that theater. So for me, I enjoyed it so much. I'll give it a 10.
Wow. Okay, I think this is the first 10 ever given on any AMC spoilers review.
Wow.
All right, Miri.
Wow, 10, I'm still blown away by the 10. I'm going to give this one an 8 also. I think this is a great comedy. I think it's a really feel-good film, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. It had the ability of being like a gross-out, kind of perverse comedy that was also really heartwarming. And I think they got moments that were really human and very real amidst all the crazy dildo jokes and like neon parties and, you know, let's like make the whole house, let's hotbox the whole house and all that stuff. Like all the crazy like
That was an
party-
amazing scene,
Yeah,
just
it
throwing
was.
all that weed.
And I loved, by the way,
what
like
a
they
crazy
used
party.
a lot of like the slow mo to hip hop. I loved every minute of that.
Yeah.
I wanted that to be like the whole movie. I was so
cool.
down.
There were
with
so
that.
many.
They used
Rose
the slow-mo.
Byrne, when she turned
And
those
she
two and she
walked,
walked
yeah.
away and she has that.
Yeah. Oh man.
Like, oh, she's
Yeah.
so awesome.
It had so many of those amazing moments where you actually get like chills because it's so good. So I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it, and I think this is definitely a film you see in the theater with friends, with loved ones. It's a great date movie.
Perfect.
And you know, guys, you'll probably get lucky if you take a girl to see this movie. It's funny.
Miri Jedikin says that this is going to go
I
on the
endorse this
poster now.
message.
And this is going to go on the movie poster now. Dennis.
I'm going to give it an 8.5. I thought it was hilarious. I mentioned 21 Jump Street and Old School. It's not on that level, but I think it's just right below that. It maybe get up there maybe after repeated viewings. I'm definitely going to see it again. I do like also, besides the crude humor like you're talking about, it does have a message. It's about, you know, these college students that are kind of afraid of turning into, you know, these older married couples. And the older married couple is worried about losing their youth
Yeah.
and losing all that fun and stuff like that. And I think it was a good marriage of the two.
There
No pun
is-
intended.
There is now a very interesting fight for comedy of the year, because if you had asked me in January what's going to be the best comedy of the year, I would have said, well, it's probably going to come down to 22 Jump Street or A Million Ways to Die in the West, which, by the way, the promos for A Million Ways to Die
Oh
in the
my
West
God, I
are
can't wait for
looking
that movie.
so good.
Can't wait for that one.
But now, those two movies have their work cut out for them, because if they can be better, if somehow they can be better than Neighbors, then this is going to be one of the best years for comedy. I mean, this might be a better year from comedy than the year we had 21 Jump Street and Ted in the same year. I mean, it's
And 22 Jump Street and Million Ways to Die were trailers for this film. So
Yeah.
it was great to see both of those and then just be blown away by
Oh,
it.
I gotta share this one other thing, because Miri, you and I are the married ones on this thing. Me and Hannah are watching this movie last night, and they get to that scene where they're running around trying to get ready to go out to the rave.
Oh my
And by the
God.
time they're now, I don't have
great.
kids. I don't have any kids, but running around getting ready to go to the rave. And by the time they're ready to go, they both just sit down. I'm just too tired. Let's go to bed. And like Anne looks at me, is like, "That's us." And then it cuts to them going to bed, and then Seth Rogen farts in the bed and Rose Vegas, and Anne goes, "That's totally us."
That's what I mean by real moments,
so
though. I
funny.
think
Yes.
they did capture such real moments. It was so heartwarming and heartfelt, and
And he apologized after. He was like,
Yep,
sorry.
sorry.
It's nice.
But and I agree with you. You said earlier that they have this thing in their relationship. I think it's true for people that are just in long relationships, whether you're married or you're just in a committed relationship, that there's this team essence that they had, and they're in it together. And I think you're right. In a lot of Judd Apatow movies, the women are shrill and nagging and horribly annoying, and it's just horrible characterizations of women. And here it's like they're buddies and they're friends and they're in it
Yeah.
together. And
they're
I
your
was
partner.
I
And
was
in
so
the
happy
end,
to
they're
see
so
that.
happy with their lives.
Yeah, like
they decide they're
it
happy
was
with
nice
their
that it
lives.
wasn't like, why don't you want to go out with me? Why do you want to do stuff with me? And I was just like, I've never had a conversation like that with a significant other ever, because it's like you want to be together.
Yeah, and they
So-
both eat bed pizza.
Yeah.
But Leslie Mann in 40-Year-Old Virgin, that scene of hers.
Oh my God, we were just talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
In
that.
the car, I mean, that was so
I'll still
great.
have sex with you if you want.
Yeah.
So gross.
Shellfish.
So gross.
All right, folks, that will do it for this. And so we could probably go on and on about this
Yeah.
movie Neighbors for the next long while. So the lowest score for Neighbors amongst the panel is an 8. The highest is, of course, the 10. Guys, we highly recommend Neighbors. Run on out and see it. So that will do it for this spoilers review. I guess the next one's going to be Godzilla.
Whoa.
And then X-Men, Days of Future Past, which we're hearing.
What
in
an
sync.
awesome summer.
This is so far. This has been great. All right. So once again, I want to thank the people who are joining me here on this couch. First of all, starting with Alicia Malone.
Hi, thanks.
Mr. John Schnepp, Miri Jetikin,
Hello.
and of course Dennis Zen. Special thanks to Ray Orr over there who's controlling the panel, and thank you to you guys. My name is John Campia for AMC Spoilers. Join us next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.